situation where a Tarrant County medical examiner rules young man's taser death a homicide. The police chief officer was wrong to use stun gun. This is Fox 28 News at 10. Cincinnati, the police chief has told Cincinnati community leaders that an officer was wrong to use a stun gun on a city councilman's daughter because she posed no threat. Chief Thomas Stretcher said at a meeting of NAACP members and Baptist ministers Thursday that 26-year-old Celeste Thomas was on her knees with her hands up asking, "What did I do?" when she was zapped with a taser gun early Sunday. Thomas is black. Stryker says an internal review of the traffic stop should be finished soon, but 6 supervisors have already found excessive force was used. The chief has taken away the officer's police powers. Cincinnati NAACP President Christopher Smitherman said Stryker deserved credit for attending the meeting, a comment that drew applause. Now, this other case, policer taser sets homeless man on fire.
This is not the first time this has happened. There's a few other stories linked from this article where there's one in Australia, a couple of them in the United States, where people had some, inflammable liquid on them, and when they were tased, they burst into flames. So, wow, if you're tased, I hope that if you've got a Bic lighter in your pocket, that's not where
it hits.
But in this case, it was gasoline. This fellow here was sniffing glue or something. But in any case, I mean, we can't let the cops go around setting people on fire. I mean, this is just out of control.
The other one, the Tarrant County medical examiner. Police used the taser to control suspect in 2 ways. Where is the rest of this? That's not what I was looking for. Yeah.
But the coroner there in Tarrant County determined that was a homicide. That the taser gun caused this fellow's death.
And this is a mentally ill. Okay, this is Fort Worth. The Tarrant County medical examiner ruled Thursday that the death of a mentally ill man in April who was shocked twice by a taser stun gun. Police state, take a drink.
Yeah.
Wielded by a Fort Worth police officer was a homicide. It was the 4th time that a person shocked by a taser has died in Fort Worth police custody. Let me repeat that. It was the 4th time that a person shocked by a taser has died in Fort Worth police custody since the department started using the devices in 2001, according to the police department. But the death of Michael Patrick Jacobs, Jr., 24, is the first that medical examiner Nizam Pirwani has ruled to be a homicide. Jacobs was pronounced dead about noon, April 18th, an hour after he was hit by the taser. His parents had called 911 because he was causing a disturbance at their East Fort Worth home, police have reported.
Well, was that a mistake? It always is.
Calling the police. You want it to be the thing that you do to help you because, that's what they're supposed to be.
You could get somebody killed. Oh, boy.
Wow.
And, it's even worse. The police turned the paramedics away. But they later called them back. I think this guy's going to die. Anyway, the paramedics weren't able to revive him, and that was it. And, of course, Taser continues to stand by its product. Well, there is some good news in Canada, this Braidwood report. Justice Thomas Braidwood and his investigative team have recommended a moratorium on I'm misreading this. They stopped short of recommending a moratorium or total ban, but they have recommended a threshold for use of the taser. In other words, it should only be used for truly criminal offenses, not just tasing people because they, are sitting in the wrong seat at a baseball game or they don't move fast enough or whatever. And it says police will now need to show that a suspect was committing or had threatened bodily harm to justify firing a taser. Now, that is exactly what we need here. We need that everywhere. But this came out of this terrible incident that happened there at an airport in Vancouver.
Oh, the woman who hung herself? Is that? Or no, this is a taser.
This was the immigrant. This fellow that was just this Polish immigrant who arrived at the airport in Canada, and he was confused. He was trying to find his mother, who was supposed to be there to meet him, and he was trying to get help. He couldn't speak English, and for 10 hours He was just caught in this, airport night, Kafkaesque bureaucratic nightmare, and he was. There was nothing anybody could do for him, and finally, in just a state of panic, he reacted finally, and he was tased, and he died.
Dear God.
And that happens over and over again, and there's all this outrage and lawsuits come out of it, and so far we have not had in this country, which they already have in Canada, but we need it here. People need to start demanding some kind of a national investigation of why this is happening, and to set some national recommendations. Forget what Taser International says.
Yeah, and this should extend to the militarization of law enforcement and SWAT teams. All right, we'll be back for the final segment of PsiOp Radio right after these final messages. That's we're still in the heat of summer here. That's Summerhead by the Cocteau Twins. Thank you for joining us for this final segment of PsiOp Radio live via AmericanFreedomRadio.com. And we were just talking about some of the slightly good news in the midst of all this negative news about continued taser abuse. And you were talking about the Canadians falling a little short of going all the way on a full-on moratorium on the use of tasers. But
yeah. But at least now you have to actually do something violent to receive the jolt from a taser.
This headline got my attention. It's a statistics in the headline. 1 crime solved for every 1,000 CCTV cameras, a senior officer claims. Now, of course,
and that's per year.
This is coming out of the UK, who, of course, are, until the Chinese quickly overtake them and then us right behind them, the most surveilled people on the planet. Just 1 crime is solved a year by every 1,000 CCTV cameras in Britain's largest force area, it was claimed today. This is, of course, from the Daily, or rather the just telegraph.co.uk. Senior Scotland Yard officer, Detective Chief Inspector Mick Neville, warned police must do more to head off a crisis in public confidence over the use of surveillance cameras. DCI Neville said officers need to improve their results to make captured images count against criminals. He said there are more than 1 million CCTV cameras in London, and the government has spent £500 million on the crime-fighting equipment. But he admitted just 1,000 crimes were solved, not prevented, solved, in 2008 using CCTV images as officers failed to make the most of potentially vital evidence. Now, this is an important situation. We want our criminal investigators to use the evidence available to fight crime.
And they've gone to all the trouble
criminals.
to put up these cameras all over the place, and they're not going to use them for their purpose because they don't have any deterrent effect. That's been proven time and again. And so the only thing that they conceivably could be of any use for, as far as protecting the public, they're not even really taking it and using it for that purpose there in England.
This article goes on to say researchers found cameras were most effective in preventing vehicle thefts and vandalism in car parks. But there's so much else I want to cover before the end of the show tonight. Back on the war on drugs, there's a great article over at dissidentvoice.org. The war on drugs is a war on people, fearful symmetry in Bolivia. That goes into some great areas. And we talked about the Fox 28 article, police chief officer was wrong to use stun gun, with the girl saying, "What did I do?" before she was zapped. And we've got this miscellaneous 9/11 news. Susan Lindauer, who's been in jail for several years now because of apparently her foreknowledge and related to the 9/11 attack. She's given an interview now that apparently she's been released, and she talks about facts about 9/11 warning. And there's some interesting videos out there now of examples of top-down demolition. Now, I'm not an adherent to the controlled demolition theory of the World Trade Center attacks, but I think